Alright, let's get to work. You're not playing John Proctor, you're becoming him. That means it is not only important to understand what he says, but also to understand what he's fighting inside himself every second he's on that stage. Now we're going to talk about internal struggles of John Proctor. John Proctor is driven by three main internal struggles. The first one is guilt versus integrity. John Proctor has had an affair with Abigail. However, he wants to be a good man, but he doesn't believe he is one. So when you're acting through the scene, you have to feel that every moment with Elizabeth, you're trying to earn back respect that you lost in the first place. John Proctor's third internal struggle is pride versus redemption. At first, he is slow, stubborn, and proud to not admit that he is wrong. However, at the end, he chooses truth over survival. So this means when you act John Proctor, you should start defensive, but at the end, you should end with being morally fearless. Now we will talk about the physical choices when acting with John Proctor. So your body tells the play before the quotes do. So when you're acting John Proctor, you should have a tight body language, you should have controlled anger, and do not make eye contact when talking to Elizabeth at first. For example, when you're talking when you're talking to Elizabeth, when you're sitting down, you should clench your fist like this and look out to a door or a window to show that you're hiding something. And when you're looking outside to the door, it shows that you want to escape that cold house, which is basically a reflection of your relationship with Elizabeth. In the middle part of the play, this is where the emotion comes out. So your voice should be more explosive, and you should have faster and sharper gestures. And you can also add some voice cracks in there to show that John Proctor's real emotion is leaking out when he's dealing with the court, Elizabeth, and Abigail. At the end, this is when John Proctor finally admits to the truth. So you should stay calm and grounded. This calmness shows John Proctor's real strength. And also, it shows that John Proctor has accepted his fate. So now we will talk about John Proctor's main objectives. By understanding what Proctor's objectives are, it will allow you as the actor to make the action seem real and for the emotions to follow along. In every scene, John Proctor wants something specific. For example, in scenes with Elizabeth, you should try to ask for Elizabeth's forgiveness, as John Proctor has done adultery. With Abigail, you should seek for silence and control, as Abigail has been manipulating the whole Salem town with witchcraft to avoid her own consequences. In the court, you should try to act like Proctor is justified to his actions as he gets closer and closer to finding his truthfulness and happiness. Remember, never play the emotion. Focus on the objectives, and then the natural actions will follow. Now, we will get into the meat of the video. How to embrace Proctor's key lines and how to implement it and produce it so it will sound as natural as possible. The first line here is the most famous line in this play, because it is my name. So here, John Proctor is trying to fight for his identity. So you should start controlled and then build it up, and then at the end, explode emotionally. Because it is my name. Because I cannot have another in my life. Because I lied and signed myself to lie. Line 2 is, I have known her, sir. This is when Proctor admits to the affair with Abigail, which hurts his reputation in the church. So you should deliver this as painful but truthful honesty, but it's also like pulling something out of your chest. The silence in between the lines should matter as much as the line itself. I have I have known her, sir. The third line is God is dead. This is when John Proctor loses faith in the system when the church does not believe his statements about witchcraft. So you should not deliver this with anger, but more so like devastation. God is dead! Remember, if you shout this line, you'll miss the point because it's more of a devastation line rather than a line that shows violence or anger to the people. These are things that you need to know to become Proctor. This will differentiate you from acting the role to inhabiting the role. The first point is Proctor is a good man who just chose the wrong decision. This shows that you need to show that Proctor wants to strive for truthfulness, but these past actions haunt him time and time again. This moves on to the second point where he's always second guessing himself, or he's always judging his own actions. A third point is that he is willing to ask and to take forgiveness from Elizabeth, but however, at first he doesn't deserve to ask for the forgiveness, but over the course of the film, he needs to earn his way to the forgiveness. So your internal mantra should be, is Proctor a good man? And carry that out through every scene. This is the final thing I'll tell you about Proctor. Proctor's journey is not about witch trials, witch hunt, or revenge on Abigail. It's about a man trying to figure whether he deserves his name or not. So don't play him as a hero. Play him as a person who wants to become one.